unit here at the Department of Procurement Services. And before we begin, I'd like to discuss a few programs and bid incentives that we have for construction. So you'll see the bullet points below. So we'll discuss our Small Business Initiative, our SBI program for construction, our Mid-Size Business Initiative, MBI program for construction, and two bid incentives that we have, our Equal Employment Opportunity Incentive and also our Apprentice Utilization Bid Preference Incentive. So first, our Small Business Initiative for Construction, our SBI program, was designed to level the playing field and to encourage and allow small businesses to participate in city-funded construction projects. For our SBI program, your business must be located in Illinois, our six-county region, which is McHenry, Lake, Kane, Cook, DuPage, and Will counties. And this program is exclusive to small businesses. There's two tiers, the SBI 1 and the SBI 2. The SBI 1 program is for construction projects that range between $2 to $10 million. And your business has to be per the U.S. Small Business Administration size standards. We also have our SBI 2 program, and that's for construction projects that are city funded that are estimated in costs less than $2 million. And your business has to be half of the SBA size standards. These programs are part of our City of Chicago Municipal Code, and you can see the section that defines the Small Business Initiative there on the slide. So our mid-sized business initiative for construction, our MBI program, is designed also to level the playing field and allow small to mid-sized businesses participate in city-funded construction projects. And this is also for small and local businesses, and it is exclusive for small and mid-sized businesses. The construction projects have to be city funded, and the estimated cost has to be between $10 million to $20 million. And eligible bidders have the size limitation, which is 1.5 times the SBA size standards. And the section of the municipal code is there on the slide. So next I'll talk about our EEO bid incentive. We have several, but I'll highlight two here. So as part of the City of Chicago's Diversity and Equal Employment Opportunity Program, we have incentives for our construction projects. And the EEO bid incentive is available in contracts that are valued over $100,000, and they're designed to increase the utilization of minority and women journey workers, apprentices, and laborers. So any bidder who's bidding on a contract as a prime can propose to utilize minority and or women journey workers, apprentices, and laborers on a contract for construction. The bidder must show their commitment using a canvassing formula that is attached with the bid. And it's important to know that the city will hold you to the commitment that you make with your bids. This incentive is in the municipal code, and it was on the previous slide. And finally, I'll discuss our apprentice utilization bid incentive, which was designed for city prime contractors to utilize apprentices for construction projects. So an apprentice is a person who is sponsored into an apprenticeship training program by a contractor that is authorized by a union to sponsor apprentices. Or two, enrolled in or has graduated from a construction technology training program as administered by the City Colleges of Chicago, or is a graduate of a high school operated by Chicago Public Schools. This incentive is also on contracts valued at $100,000 or more. The incentive can be used for future contracts for prime contractors, and it's a tiered incentive. So if you propose to use 5 to 10% work performed by an apprentice, you will have a 1/2% bid incentive. And if you propose 11 to 15% project area, um, for subcontractors or apprentices, you will be entitled to a 1% bid incentive. And these incentives are an artificial reduction off of your bid price for award purposes only. And the section of the municipal code is there for you. So that's all
Ready?
for me.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jana. Thank you so much. And Jana will be available after to take questions if we have any for the Department of Procurement Services. Now, up next is Michael Judd from Gordian Group.
All right, can everyone hear me now? Hello?
We can hear you now. I'm going to pass over the controls to you, and
Oh,
I will let you take the control from here. Is that all right for you?
that's perfect. Thank you.
All righty. And you should have control right about now.
All right, let me get to my screen here. All right, Jackie, can you see my screen, the presentation?
Yes, is perfect.
All right, perfect. So thank you, Jackie and Department of Procurement for letting Gordian speak on your behalf of job order contracting. My name, again, as Jackie said, is Michael Judd. I am the Senior Account Manager here on behalf of Department of Procurement Services. We manage the contract development, customer support, job order contracting enablement in the city of Chicago. So we'll be going through an introduction of what job order contracting, or otherwise JOC, what that is, and how you as a contractor can be involved in this kind of program within the city. So this is kind of a brief overview of our objectives that we'll be going through today. Pretty much that JOC overview, as I mentioned, what the benefits of job order contracting are, what that JOC process looks like, how to bid on a JOC contract in the city of Chicago, go through a couple slides on some diversity and inclusion that we've really been pinpointing over the last couple of years, and then just a quick recap, review, and key points, along with any potential Q&A at the very end. So who is Gordian, right? Who am I? Who is Gordian within the city of Chicago? Gordian is the leading provider of the facility and construction data, software, and expertise. So the data part is where the owner gets their specific construction task catalog, and that's one of the most important items in job order contracting, where it has over 275,000 line items with preset prices. And I'll be getting into how that ties into job order contracting in a little while, but that's what makes us the leading provider of this cost data. And it's facilitated by the RS Means data. So if you're familiar with RS Means, Gordian actually has control of that and owns that. And all of that is ran through our software. It's whether it's eGordian, it could be job order contracting cloud. It's built from these decades of experience, especially in the city of Chicago, where we started in 1992 through this point in time. So we manage the data through our software, and then we provide the expertise. So we provide, like I mentioned, with the city of Chicago, we develop their job order contracting contracts. We train their folks on how to use the eGordian system as well as the contractors in order for everyone to be successful in this kind of program. Some of the construction procurement challenges that the city faces is there are staff limitations. So that's when they choose to go through this procurement method of job order contracting, when they need to meet inclusion requirements such as MBE or WBE, cost control or change orders, especially a lack of transparency in other procurement methods, and then time, because job order contracting is a time efficient procurement method. These are some of the procurement methods that we see the city use. Job order contracting is just another one. So as you can see, they can utilize in-house staffing, CM at risk, unit price contracts, design, bid, build, etc. Job order contracting is just another delivery method that the city utilizes to procure their services. And this is the 5-step process that what job order contracting takes through the city is once you have a contract, you as the contractor would go on a joint scope meeting with whatever department may be reaching out to you or whichever department you have a contract with, where after the joint scope meeting, you discuss how to build that scope of work with the owner, where they will agree to a scope and request a price proposal. And that's using the data from that construction task catalog and our software, where you're going to develop the proposal. Once you develop the proposal, the owner's just going to make sure that the scope of work aligns with the price proposal and everyone's on the same page. And then once that happens, they issue a job order. So that's kind of the 5-step quick and dirty process in job order contracting, where that kind of procurement method and that process happens across the country. It's not just in Chicago, but there's 305 programs with over 8,000 contracts, 28 different kind of trade contracts, and close to 1,500 total contractors. So job order contracting specifically in Chicago has been started since the 90s, but it's been widely successful across not only Illinois, but the country as well. So an overview of what it is, you heard me talk about the construction task catalog. That's the definition right there. It's a firm fixed price, which is competitively bid. It's an indefinite quantity delivery method designed to produce a large number of multi-traded repair and rehab projects, as well as minor new construction projects quickly. So we realize it's a mouthful. We like to break it down into 3 categories. The first one is the firm fixed pricing of it. So what makes job order contracting a competitive bid contract is you're bidding on a preset price line item book already, similar to RS Means, except the difference is the construction task catalog includes labor, equipment, and material. The second part is that competitive bid. So what you would do then is you would have that construction task catalog, build a couple projects, and I'm going to go through that in a little bit and some future slides here. But you would build a sample proposal and come up with your adjustment factor to see what you're comfortable with. If you think the book is giving you more cost than what you need, you can adjust your factor that way. And then finally, it just offers a fundamentally different construction procurement relationship where the owner has several multi-traded projects at full range of scopes of work, repairs, new construction, rehabilitation sites. So it really fosters that collaborative relationship between the contractor and the owner. And it really allows you as the contractor to work with the owner, having that sole contract without the risk of being outbid by anyone, because the city utilizes the lowest competitive bid on these contracts. So these are typical construction procurement processes. We just utilize 3 different projects, 10 steps, pretty much the same steps out of each one. This is pretty much a traditional bid project where it takes a lot of time and money. There's 10 steps that they have to go through on each and every project. Whereas in job order contracting, we go through 8 steps at the time of bid. Once you submit your adjustment factor at the time of bid, then you can get as many projects as the department pleases. So you can have that classroom renovation, that LED lighting update. You can have all those projects because you've already completed numbers 1 through 8. So they don't have to go back out and bid on these projects. if they decide to go through job order contracting, you're the contractor on that contract. So you can get these at any time and any capacity. So the kinds of types of projects that we've seen throughout the city with one competitively awarded contract, you'll see straightforward new construction, repairs, renovations, replacement like kind, especially in some mechanical equipment, maintenance, emergency work, time-sensitive projects, and alterations. So it's a wide range of scope. And as you'll see, I'll provide a list of departments that use job order contracting. Even the department list is going to be different scopes of work than each other. So I mentioned this before up front, that JOC is a performance-based contract. So this is where we kind of dive into that a little bit. Once a minimum value is reached, just like any contract that gets issued, there's a minimum value. Once that's achieved by the department, all future work is dependent on that contractor performance. So there are lists of measurable performance measures that the owner measures you by. Responsiveness of the contractor, so being able to go out on site to perform the scope of work through the project development phase, and then submit timely and accurate price proposals. Then once a PO or an NTP is issued, then it's the construction phase. So it's timely startups, effective management of the work crew and the schedule, and ensuring the project is constructed according to the scope of work or the specifications. So really that success is driving that project from start to finish and developing a relationship with the owner. Performance also really depends on that accurate adjustment factor at the time of bid. You want to make sure that that's accurate. And again, I'm going to walk through briefly how you do that. And having quality staff, because as a job order contracting contractor, you can have several projects at one time. So you want to be mindful of that. These are the actual measurable performance standards that is in the contract. Contractually, there is language for quality price proposals, which can be approved on the first or second submission. They need to be timely. So in job order contracting, it's really meant for an expedited procurement process, because the idea is that you as the contractor will have the contract. So then they're going to assign work at any time. So that means that they need to get these jobs done very quickly. So the price proposals need to be timely, either on or before due date that is assigned by the department. The construction, it needs to be timely. So rapid mobilization to start work, manning the crews, having construction happening throughout the duration of the project, and quality construction. So not just getting everything slapped together, the construction needs to have quality as well. And then finally, the achievement of the compliance goals, the M&WBE. There are these goals that get issued in each contract, which you need to meet or exceed. And then finally, is achievement of self-performance goals. There are self-performing project area goals in these contracts as well. So benefits to JOC: as a prime contractor, JOC can be very profitable. Because you are the JOC contractor on that contract, you get several projects at one time. Profit is a function of that volume. So if you have 5 projects, that profit is just going to keep increasing, because that volume is driven by the performance, right? So if you're performing well as a contractor, the department's going to want to issue you more work because they enjoy working with you. It's easy to work with you. And that's the whole idea, where then at that point, as you have a JOC contract, it's going to provide a steady flow of work, because they don't have to competitively bid on the back end, because that's already been accomplished because it's a job order contract. What happens then is a long-term relationship starts to get developed with the city, where you really want to stay away from an adversarial relationship and develop that partnership and that relationship with the city. And then obviously it's professionally rewarding. You have several different scopes of work, varying projects, and the ability to provide the input to get to a common goal and a common cause to help the city complete a project that they need to get done. For subcontractors' benefits to job order contracting, there are not any projects identified at the time of bidding for general contractors. So prime contractors sometimes can't staff up at that time to self-perform every single project. There's general contractors that maybe only specifically construct one trade and sub everything else out. It really depends on what contract they have. But what that relates to is the subcontracting market having that increased opportunity, because they have to utilize that subcontracting community. They have to get their M&WBE goals. They're going to have several projects at one time. So they need to reach out and use subcontractors on these projects. Ultimately, it's a simplified procurement process for the city. So they want to assign the projects to the general as fast as they can, which means that there's going to be several projects the subcontractors can join on. So what you want to do as a subcontractor, if you are a subcontractor on this call, is contact the prime contractors that have job order contracts in the city of Chicago, and don't limit yourself there. There's other programs that we'll show later on. This is a City of Chicago Department procurement initiative, so I'm not going to get into that, but there are job order contracts throughout the area as well. So you want to make sure that you contact those general contractors and make sure that you are providing what your scope of work is to them, so you have that opportunity. You do want to be mindful that there are a variety of methods that general contractors may ask you to submit a quote on. Number one is just providing a lump sum quote. So they send you a scope of work, give me a price to accomplish that scope. Another one is they may want to see sort of material breakdown. The owners may want to be choosing between different manufacturers, etc. And then finally, they may even ask you as a subcontractor, hey, here's the CTC that we have to use. Pick what line items that you have to utilize out of this so I can build a proposal. So you do want to be mindful that they can ask for a variety of methods to submit that. However, you as a subcontractor are not bound to the prices in the CTC. So that's a huge advantage for you. There are market fluctuations. General contractors have to stick with the pricing. Subcontractors don't. So they, if the general wants to work with you, they will find a way to work with you. So as contracts are advertised, what might be beneficial to you too as a subcontractor is obtaining a copy of the CTC so you understand what they have to do on each project to build a proposal for. It is free. All the bids are publicly advertised through the Department of Procurement. So it doesn't cost anything to click the download button off eProcurement and get a copy for yourself. Save it to your files and take a look at what's in this construction task catalog. So at the end of the day, JOC is a performance-based contracting system that general contractors will need to rely on you in order to get work done. So then kind of shifting into the prime contractor focus. As a prime contractor, there's really two big parts of job order contracting that we like to go through, and we kind of reference an umbrella. Part one would be bidding on that umbrella JOC contract. So kind of think of everything underneath that umbrella is multiple jobs at one time. The umbrella is really the contract that you have. So part one, the owner would advertise the job order contracting contract just like a project, except obviously it's a JOC, it's going to look different, where the general contractors submit all of the bids, and then the owner would review those bids and select the lowest competitively bid for the city of Chicago. Then once the contractor submits their bid deposits, their bonding, gets an executed contract, that's on part two now, where they can start assigning you job orders at any time, like the LED light upgrades or mechanical equipment replacing like kind. And those all can happen at the same time and can be several projects going on in parallel with each other. So really, when you take a look at the bid specifications on a fee procurement, there's typically 4 or 5 books in job work contracting that you need to submit your bid on. Number one is book 1, which are the instructions to you as the bidder and the execution documents. That's pretty much where you're going to find all the execution documents and a checklist for what you need to submit a successful JOC bid to the city. Book 2 are the city's general conditions and JOC special conditions, where these are pretty much the rules of the game which you are expected to abide by having a JOC contract. So book 1 is how you submit the bid. Book 2 are the rules of job order contracting and the city's rules and laws, etc. Book 3 is the construction task catalog. That's where all the preset pricing is housed. Book 4 are the technical specifications. There are technical specs that tie to each line item in the book. That's why it's book 4. And then some clients have a book 5. There might be special client specifications if you're working specifically at the airport or what have you. Sometimes there's a book 5. So just be on the lookout for that. What we'd like to dive into really is the construction task catalog on this call. When we do have a pre-bid meeting, we do review more of the execution documents and the instructions to bidders. However, just as a jock overview, we like to reference this construction task catalog. So what it is once you have that e-procurement bid open, there's a link to be able to view the CTC and download the PDF. It's a catalog organized by the CSI master format of complete pre-priced fixed tasks throughout the construction duration, which include labor, equipment, and material. And what's unique about the construction task catalog is it's customized for the city's tasks and standards. So this construction task catalog is based on wages in the Chicago area. And as I mentioned, they are fixed for the duration of the contract. So kind of looking at the snapshot here, this is what a sample page of a PDF would look like in the construction task catalog. You see the CSI master format to the left where you see 3216 and the description of the section, curbs, gutters, sidewalks, and driveways. The text is a little small, but what each line item in the book would give you is a full description of the task of what that task is. So under curbs and gutters, it says it includes transitions. Demolition includes 2 saw cuts at each end of this concrete curb and gutters for lengths up to 100 feet. So all of that is included in this cost. If you're installing a concrete curb cast in place, you'll notice that includes delivered concrete, forms, rebar, etc. And then it gives a specific size of it, right? So it kind of gets down into detail where you can pick a 6x12 or cast in place concrete curb, or like a radius curb on a corner. It really depends what you're looking for in the scope of work. Then when you get into those details, there are modifiers for an economy of scale. So you can kind of see here for up to 20 feet, add $4.03. But also, just like if you're going to Costco and you're buying in bulk, there's going to be a discount. It's the same way in the CTC, where if you go over 1,000 feet for this line item, then it's going to have you deduct $1.50 per linear foot out of that base line item cost. What you'll see on the right is $7.18 per linear foot. And then if you wanted to demo it, it gives a demo cost per linear foot of $3.23. So if you had 100 feet, then you would just multiply that unit cost by 100 feet, $718. If you can accomplish that within there or increase your factor, that's how you would develop your factor. And that's what we will get into here in a minute. But there are really 4 steps that you want to take when you're bidding on a job contract. The first one is determining your direct costs. So analyzing the CTC and specifications very closely for completeness and clarity of what those line items include. You want to review those prices against the direct cost that you had for accomplishing the work. Another important note is because this is competitively bid, the prices in the book do not include overhead and profit from both the general and the subcontractor. So that's kind of what that adjustment factor includes, up and down. So in that case, you have to ask yourself questions like, do you have to increase the prices to cover your direct costs? Do you lower them? Is the book giving you more? It also depends on the amount of self-performance that you do. You know, if you're a paving contractor, it might not make sense to go for a Department of Water Management project, or you know, if you're a Department of Water, you're working on day tanks, you might not go for a CDOT contract. So it really depends on if you're self-performing or subcontracting most of the work. Then you want to determine your overhead cost and profit expectations. So you need to figure out what bonding, insurance, main overhead with the staffing, how much will it cost to employ a staff, where then you have all those costs together where you start to go into step 3, which is bidding normal working hour factor and an outside of normal working hour factor. Pretty much what it means is it's overtime. So you must cover your direct costs again there. You should not exclude any tasks. And then step 4 would be specifying EEO commitments, equal employment opportunity commitments, and determining that award criteria figure. That is what the city would award the bid on, is the lowest award criteria figure. So this is the preferred method for how to analyze the CTC. Ultimately, it's up to you as a company how you'd like to do that. But what you would do is select a comparable project from your files, and I would highly suggest several, right? Do one to get comfortable and then mark up several projects that you've had. So for example, in this case, we're going to use a project that paid you outside of JOC $82,323. Once you build the proposal out of the book, and over to the right is a sample of an Excel sheet that you can use to kind of build an Excel sheet, put some calculations on it and see what that comes out to. With no adjustment, that comes out to $75,746 or $746. So right off the bat, the project paid you $82,000. The book's only giving you $75,000. The $75,000 does not include the overhead and profit, does not include subcontractors' overhead and profit, does not include bonding, because that stuff is not included in the book. So if you were satisfied with getting $82,000, you would need an adjustment factor of 1.08 by dividing 82,000 by 75, which would be an 8% markup from the book in order to get to that 82,000. Then your 1.08 would go on a list in the execution documents, where it would automatically all the way calculate to an award criteria figure. So it's very important that you do this exercise on several projects to make sure that you're submitting an accurate adjustment factor at the time of bid. So some additional tips for being a successful JOC bidder. You want to bid correctly, so you need to anticipate the types of work that the city expects to use. Again, they don't determine any specific projects at the time of bid because it's really an ad hoc contract. They'll give you projects, sometimes multi-trade, whatever projects they need to get done right away. But it really depends on the contract. Like I just mentioned, CDOT's going to be different than Department of Water. So you have to be conscious of what those departments' general scopes of work actually are. At the pre-bid meeting, there are slides identifying the type of work, but again, it's not going to have any specific job orders. So you really need to analyze the prices in the CTC to make sure that it makes sense for you as an organization to bid on one of these contracts, run several sample projects, and then determine those factors that you're comfortable with, which include direct costs, overhead, and profit. And then the other big category that we like to speak to is staffing correctly. Again, you're going to have several jobs at one time, so you want to make sure that you have the staff to be able to manage that job order contract. So how to get involved, right? Job order contracting is a great contract for smaller businesses that want to get into city contracts. So number one is to analyze the job programs in the Chicago area and other areas that you're familiar with. Identify those programs whose scope of work matches your scope as a contractor. And then breaking it down even further, for prime contractors, you want to analyze the prices in the book and develop accurate adjustment factors. For subcontractors, you want to establish that relationship with the prime so that you continue to get work from them. This is a comprehensive list of the job order contracting programs in the city of Chicago. Department of AIS has two different bureaus that uses it, the Architectural Engineering and Construction Group and the Environmental Health and Safety Management Group. Then you have Department of Aviation, where they have a landside and airside contract. Department of Water Management, a lot of mechanical work at the Department of Water Management. Department of Housing, Department of Transportation, and then OEMC, which is Office of Emergency Management and Communications. These are Chicagoland area JOC programs. This is a comprehensive list for you. However, this is only for informational purposes only, because again, this is a Department of Procurement Services outreach. So we're not going to speak to these, but take a look at these websites and see if their scopes of work matches what you want to do as well. So diversity, equity, and inclusion, this has been a big push in job order contracting, specifically for us. We really want to develop and maintain the relationships with the affiliated organizations that have a heavy emphasis on job order contracting and inclusion. Associations like HACIA are really who we try to target, where they could leverage their contracting pool to provide opportunities to those minority and women-owned businesses for continued work in job order contracting. So be on the lookout for those and associations. We've been partnering with them to further push the diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it's really important, especially now in the city. So that's more opportunities for subcontractors. These are the organizations that we work with. specifically locally Chicago Urban League, HACIA, African American Contractors Association. So be on the lookout for those and our partnership with job order contracting with these associations. So reviewing key points, JOC is an established procurement method used in the city of Chicago. These are the 5 steps. Usually it takes about 45 to 60 days, 2 months to get projects through the system, as opposed to design build where it's, a year plus. And because of that, JOC really has benefits for all the parties. The owner gets their work done quick. The prime contractors continue to get work based on their performance, and there's several subcontracting opportunities that come of it. It is performance-based that determines the amount of work issued. If you don't perform well, then the owner's not going to want to work with you further. Once they hit their minimum, they don't have an obligation to continue to work with you. For your subcontracting pool, be aware of these methods to be able to submit a quote to a prime. However, again, you're not obligated to the CTC. Whatever way they want you to submit a bid, you just want to be careful and be on the lookout for how you submit bids to contractors. To find out more information on job order contracting and other contracts that the city issues in general, sign up for the DPS alerts. They constantly push emails out of their notification system that shows job order contracting opportunities, but any opportunities that pop up in Chicago. It's a really great tool to be able to get an email, click on a link, and it takes you directly to that contract solicitation. So you want to check that website. That's the email address, www.cityofchicago.org/DPS. Under the bid proposal information, you'll want to click on current bids and requests for proposal. That's where you'll find all of that information. And it's still getting reported in the Chicago Tribune. So that's a important staple in Chicago as well. So key contacts. Again, my name is Michael Judd. I'm the senior account manager here in Chicago. Our area manager, Derek, has Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa, Indiana. So you'll want to make sure you reach out to him if you have other opportunities. And then specifically our contractor diversity, equity, and inclusion manager is Kelly Erickson. And she's really been a partner and a champion for those programs here with those minority and women-owned businesses as well. So with that, Jackie, that would conclude my presentation.
Thank you so much, Michael. Perfect presentation. You and Jonna have given a lot of information for our participants that are on today. Now I will open it up. If any of you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A panel and send your questions or comments through, and we will address them as they come through. Again, like I said, I sent in the chat area. By Friday, we will have any presentations that workshops that we do this week. We will have them up by Friday on our youtube.com/Chicago DPS in the 2023 workshop playlist. So if you would like to review this, because this has gone a little faster than you thought, feel free to go over there and you can see a copy. It'll be up by Friday. It may be up before Friday, but it'll be up by Friday. So if you go on Friday, you will definitely be able to see it. We are also will be putting up the presentation part of this as well online, but you also have presentations that you can go online right now and see as of today, but we will get this up in the new format very shortly here. And I think we have a question or so. So I'll put it out to you. Would a company that starts up this year be eligible for these contracts?
So it really depends on the bonding capacity that you're able to achieve and the insurance requirements. Those are in the instructions and execution documents in books 1 and 2. So next time that you see a job order contracting solicitation and you download those books, you'll want to make sure that your company can meet those requirements. especially the bonding capacity and the bid deposit. Usually in the city of Chicago, there's a bid deposit of 25,000 in order to bid on these contracts. So you want to be mindful of the requirements in the contract before you submit a set of adjustment factors.
Perfect. And I think that's it. That's the only question that we have. Well, give them. Oh, we got one more. If you can put it in the Q&A panel, I'll go ahead and read it. But if you can put anything in the Q&A panel so that we can just go over there and see it. But it is a great comment. This was great. We'll review the YouTube videos this weekend. We'll reach out with questions via email. Thank you to Jana and Michael. If you have any other comments or questions, feel free to send them through. If not, I will say thank you to our guest speakers, Michael Judd from Gordian and Jana Williams from the Department of Procurement Services for shepherding us through this presentation. And hopefully we will have you all visit again for any of our workshops tomorrow. I think we have e-procurement and we have a wealth of ones coming in the next few weeks. So feel free to join us for those. Thank you all for participating. I know it is a wonderful day outside in Chicago. So thank you for participating. And I don't want to take up any more of either of you all's time as well as our participants' time. So I will say we will see you on the next one. Be safe, be careful, and see you soon.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.